Secretary Bless.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. On behalf of the Department of Cultural Resources, staff, and volunteers, I'd like to welcome you to this weekend's commemoration of the 150th anniversary of the Battle of Fort Fisher. For the last 4 years, our department has sponsored a number of conferences, living history events, exhibitions, concerts, and publications to mark the sesquicentennial of North Carolina's role in the greatest conflict our nation has ever faced. Today begins the crescendo of our multi-year commemoration, as from now until April, we explore more in-depth the last few months of the Civil War, months that saw the capture of Fort Fisher and the loss of the Confederacy's last major lifeline, the capture of Fort Anderson, now a part of Brunswicktown State Historic Site, the largest battle to ever take place on North Carolina soil at another one of our sites, Bentonville Battlefield, the fall of North Carolina's Confederate government at the state capitol in Raleigh, and the surrender of the largest number of Confederate troops during the war at a modest farmhouse near Durham Station, now Bennett Place State Historic Site. Each of these sites will be marking its important anniversary, and I know that many of us will be a part of those undertakings as well. It's important that we undertake commemorations such as these to remind ourselves of the bravery of those who came before us and the sacrifices made by them. It's important that we undertake commemorations such as these to remind ourselves of the horror of war, so that our passions might be tempered and, whenever possible, encourage us to resolve our conflicts through other means. It's important that we undertake commemorations such as these to give us the opportunity to recommit ourselves to those ideals which forge a single nation out of many people, that all men are created equal and that they are endowed by their Creator with certain inalienable rights, among them life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Today, as we participate in this Fort Fisher event, I want to recognize a number of individuals and groups that have made it all possible. Department of Cultural Resources Civil War Sesquicentennial Committee, Michael Hill and Keith Hardison, co-chairs, for their efforts in spearheading and guiding their commemorative efforts throughout DCR. Fort Fisher State Historic Site and Site Manager Jim Steele, for their efforts in organizing and executing the special commemorative event. Friends of Fort Fisher, Executive Director Paul Laird, Board Chairman Brigadier General James Carper, and board members for partnering with the site in organizing and executing this special commemorative event, for raising more than $70,000 in private funds to make this event this weekend possible, and for raising another $100,000 for new interpretive markers, exhibits, and trailside benches. To the Fort Fisher Anniversary Observance sponsors, which are listed in your program, for their generosity and support. Historic Sites Interpretive Training Service Staff Director Dusty Westcock for producing 17 new wayside exhibits for the battlefield and 3 special exhibits within the Visitor Center, and for directing the battle scenario for the event. To the DCR Capital Projects Unit Director Mark Cooney for overseeing installation of the new palisade fence along the land face of the fort. To New Hanover County Commission, the Carolina Beach Town Council, and the Curry Beach Town Commission for financial support of this event. To Civil War scholars for sharing their vast knowledge of this tragic period with us. To the Civil War reenactors for bringing history to life. To the descendants of Union and Confederate participants in the Battle of Fort Fisher for joining us in this commemoration and for making it a more personal experience for all. To the United States Marine Corps Aircraft Wing Band from Cherry Point for providing music for this opening ceremony. To the North Carolina National Guard, Deaner's Office of State Parks, and local law enforcement agencies for assisting with the logistics and safety of this important event. To the Fort Fisher Air Force Recreation Area for off-site parking and lodging. And especially to Mr. Keith Hardison, who is the Director of Historic Sites for the Department of Cultural Resources. At this time it's my honor to introduce to you someone who is truly dedicated and committed to the state of North Carolina. As a member of his cabinet, I see firsthand every day the work he does to make state government better. He is a tremendous supporter of cultural resources, of our historic sites, our military, and our veterans. His attendance here today, just returning from a grueling week of international travel for economic development, demonstrates his passion for our wonderful state. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you the Governor of the state of North Carolina, the Honorable Pat McCrory.
Thank you very much. I've just decided not to read my speech. I'm going to do you all a favor. They've got a long speech for me. Thank you very much. Yeah. I'm going to say three quick things without my notes. First of all, instead of recognizing everyone in the audience, which has already been done, I do want to recognize a very special person who's already been briefly recognized, but he just got back from Afghanistan. And he was part of the redeployment coming back home, bringing a lot of our soldiers and military men and women back home from Afghanistan. And it was a very, very tough duty that he had there during the past year. He's the commander of Fort Bragg. He's a great partner of North Carolina and this country. I'd like Joe Anderson and his wife, General Joe Anderson and his wife Beth, to please stand up one more time and give them a warm welcome back home to North Carolina. Just last month, he came back to the state capitol building to my office, and he had the state flag of North Carolina flying over his base in Afghanistan. He promised to return it back home, and I've got it proudly displayed, General, and we're so honored with you and your troops for what you've done. And with all the members of the military that are here today, let's give them another round of applause. And this is the way I'm going to end it. 150 years ago, there were hundreds of battleships in January. It's most like a very cold January windy day like it is today. Can you imagine being out on the ships out here, waiting to be deployed onto the beaches and waiting to enter battle, and with the soldiers here in this fort just waiting to see what is going to happen, and anticipating a large loss of life on both the Confederacy and Union side, with thousands upon thousands of shells that are most likely 150 years ago would be flying over our heads at this point in time. I can't imagine. It's the D-Day of my parents' generation that occurred right here in North Carolina. And I just want to thank everyone for recognizing this historical event that occurred right on the beaches of North Carolina. And I want to thank the people of this region who keep this history alive. And we have got to keep the history alive of the Revolutionary War battles that were fought in North Carolina, the Civil War battle that was primarily fought right here, which was the major battle which helped determine the end of the Civil War. And of course, we also have to remember all the men and women who fought in World War I, World War II, Korea, Vietnam, and the Iraqi wars and Afghanistan wars, and many others. Freedom came at a cost, and we cannot forget it. And to see the young people here today are the people that we need to be talking to more than anyone else, to remind the young people right now that their freedom came at a cost, and we must never forget that freedom came at a cost. Thanks to everyone, and God bless North Carolina. May God continue to bless the United States of America. Thank you very much.